Hi everyone, welcome to another Golden Era video, and this is kind of the same as the last video I posted with the Telecaster, the vintage Telecaster. I'm going to do more of a point of view video in this one where you actually see a body on the bench. Focus of today's video is body 0366, which is on the website as the Refinish Swamp Ash body. I'm going to talk in a bit more detail about that. It's Friday, March the 8th today, and there'd usually be a drop, but unfortunately this evening I don't have a drop, so I thought I would do a video as if it makes up for anything, which it doesn't really, but I wanted to do something on Friday as I'm busy all weekend. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll catch you after we've had a look at it. Okay, this is body GE0366. And before I go any further, what I have to say is it's very, I wouldn't say stormy, but it's very windy. It's a very windy afternoon here in Castledawson, Northern Ireland. Gives some of you something to look at Google Maps for, in case you didn't know where I was. Middle of Northern Ireland, but it's very dark. It's a Friday afternoon. It's bordering on stormy. So if you hear any bangs or thuds or crashes, it's just the wind throwing things against the workshop. So, trying to ignore the noise in the background, which I don't know if you can hear, but I've got this body, which is 0366 in front of me. Now, this was put up on the website about 2 weeks ago. Well, it was 2 weeks ago, because this is Friday and I do the drops on Friday, so it was 2 weeks ago. I didn't do a drop last week, and I'm not doing a drop today. I don't even know what today's date is. Is it it must be the 7th or 8th of March, 2024. Just for future reference, as if it matters. But there's no drop tonight, unfortunately. Things are crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Lots of prep going on, and as usual, everything's going to happen at once. So all the prep gets done, and then we get on to painting the bodies, and then I get on to the fun bit, which is making them look like this. And this is the body that, again, we're here to discuss, we're here to talk about and look at in more detail. And immediately I can see, just on my little screen here, I can see the way the light's hitting that body, and it's this that I want to really pick up on, because the photographs on the website are, you know, they're realistic. They're not photoshopped at all. So those are the raw images off that camera, but you don't get to see. There's a lot of things that you won't get to see from a static image, and that's kind of what I want to do here. So the website has all the details on it for this body, but it's body 0366, and it's a two-piece swamp ash body. It weighs 4 pounds without hardware. I don't know what it is with the hardware. I didn't weigh it with the hardware on, but I wanted to talk just a little bit more about some of the details. I'll go back over what this vibe is of this body. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the parchment scratch plate. Now, just for reference, this is my own scratch plate that I use for most of the strap bodies these days. It's just handy just to keep it together, to be honest, but these are all quite dirty, creamy kind of color, and you can actually see I've got parchment. I came prepared. This is parchment. This is, I mean, obviously on the screen I've got a white piece of paper here just off to the side, so you can see the difference. It's definitely what you would call parchment. The white paper is obviously very white. So we've got white parchment, aged parchment. So you get that kind of dirty vibe going on. But didn't come here to talk about scratch plates, but you know, there we go. So I'm going to start taking all this hardware off, and you get to start building that picture of what this body's about. So it's meant to have had a life, essentially. Beforehand, this body, if you can imagine, would have been maybe like a late 50s, 60, 61 blonde, swamp ash blonde. And I say blonde, I don't like this, I'm not a fan of this whole butterscotch thing that goes around. So I don't know who put that name on the aged blonde finishes, but this essentially was meant to be a blonde finish that's aged, and that's where the butterscotch thing comes from. So what you should be able to do at some point on an aged blonde body is you'll still see paint in the cavities and stuff, so you can see this blonde finish here. What I've tried to do with this body is it's really meant to look like a 70s sort of refinish job. Somebody has meant to have stripped, see the blonde I've left behind. Somebody's meant to have stripped this body of its blonde finish, but most of us, when we're starting out and we're doing DIY projects, we leave things behind. So there's meant to be bits of blonde here and there on this body. Again, just on the end of the body as well, you can see there's blonde paint left behind, you know, just where somebody wouldn't see it, or you couldn't be bothered sanding any more of it, you know, off the wood. So there was a big thing. I mean, obviously in the 70s, you know, early 70s, mid 70s, a 61 Strat body wasn't vintage. It was just a 61 Strat. It was a 10-year-old to 15-year-old guitar, and there was no reverence around them. They were just tools of the trade and stuff, and people couldn't afford to buy a new guitar, so they would strip down their existing finish. And this is where I've come across a lot of bodies where I've vintage restoration stuff. There's lots of paint in the cavities, and the more extreme ones, it's almost, I don't know how they do it, but they've actually stripped everything off on the main part of the body, and they've left the original paint underneath all the hardware. I don't know how they did it. I'm super impressed. But it looks like a perfect line. I've seen sunbursts done where it's like sunburst in this section and the rest of it's plain wood. So again, very cool. Tells a story. So that's kind of the idea behind this. This guy is meant to be a storyteller. It's meant to have just had that life where it was born in, you know, 60, 61, and the owner has stripped it in the 70s. They've gone to the back of their shed or their garage, if you want to call it a garage, and they've found a tin of lacquer, a tin of Ronseal wood stain or something, and they've brushed it onto the body, or they've sprayed it on or whatever with some basic tools that they have, and it's just done this thing where it looks like a really thin, varnished sort of finish. Just a proper aged look about it. So that was the idea behind this body, and that's the idea behind a lot of the refinish pieces that I do, and I really enjoy doing them. I don't know why. I just really enjoy. Maybe it's because they're different, maybe because not many other people or anybody else does them. It was just an idea that I saw something on Instagram where it was an original body, and it was this lovely, it was like a rich honey color, and it was, somebody had just clear coated over this Swamp Ash Telecaster body, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And the look, now this is obviously a Strat, but the look of the Telly was, it had this really heavily nicotined pickguard on it. And if I just grab this, it had the rosewood neck, so that was kind of the look that they had, but it was a Telly, and it looked incredible, and I just thought, hey, that would look really, really good. So that's where that idea has come from. But the idea with doing this was, I'm going to chop and change a few of the accessories now, just to let you see. This is a Goto bridge that I use. I've aged it a little bit further, but I think these things are absolutely awesome. They're 80 quid, 85 quid. You'll not, for me, yes, you can spend a lot more money. I just think these things are awesome. I just, you know, you cannot fault them at all. These are other bits I've aged as well. Not sure how that's coming out, but just a bit of all that grime and dirt buildup. That's all, I think people call it fake. I'll call it fake too. It's not real. Well, it is real, but it's not natural. I've done that. So mint. Let's look at mint. This is a grade mint scratch plate that I do as well. So it just gives you an idea, and that is instead of that. So you can drastically change the look of this with just plastics. It's very, very simple to change this all up. And the last thing, I do like Tort. I actually really like Tort. It's getting the right look, the right colors, which I'm going to get hate comments for this, but that's kind of, I think that's more of a 70s vibe, isn't it? I've seen a lot of this combination going on where somebody's stripped an old 70s swamp ash body and they've done this look with it. I've got that. I don't know where this came from. I've had this for years, so I don't know where that came from. I believe the top layer on this is something funky because I don't know if you can see it. It's like a banana, so it's kind of, it wants to fold up like a deck chair. But did a matte finish on that. I'm gonna have to gloss that back up, but just for different ideas, just lets you see what you can do with these. So taking all this off again, and it's really cool. These bodies really let you see everything. There's nothing hidden. And again, I'm gonna bring this a bit closer. You can just see some of the detail. Rust around the screw holes, which is, I thought was pretty cool. Router marks in the cavities, which I've done a couple. Again, you can't miss the neck pocket golden era stamp. Now there should be dowels. There's one there. There's one there. Flip that over. We've got the dowel there, and we've got the dowel there. Another router mark with a bit of slippage going on. And one thing that I'm always keen to do is there's a lot of people would just, you know, take a big chunk out of here, take this all back to the wood, random stuff missing. But I like doing the whole story thing. Maybe this guy, or, you know, vintage guitars, it could have been owned by a dozen people. Maybe the first guy was quite careful, only put a bit of armor on it. Maybe the second guy was a complete madman and he was strumming with a pickaxe. I don't know. Let's just say the same guy maybe owned a heavy duty Levi belt, and that's what's done all this damage here. So it's definitely all about, for me, just telling that story, having a bit of fun with it. And you can see as well, again, camera doesn't really pick this up whenever you're photographing it, but you can see, you know, we've got checking going this way, the grain's going this way, but you can see the sinkage. You can see the dirt going into the lacquer as well. Now, I was told quite a long time ago by somebody quite prominent, you cannot get dirt to, you know, you can't fake dirt shrinking into the wood grain. Well, that's dirt in the wood grain. So I'm quite happy with that. But it's a very, very sunken look that it's got to it, a very, very natural sunken look. Something else I thought was quite cool, and I always like to do, is you always see guitars, and somebody, I'm not going to name who it is, but somebody said, you know, they're quite pantomime, some aged guitars. In other words, from 100 feet away, you could still tell it's a relic or an aged guitar. But if you set this at the other end of this workshop, the only thing you're actually going to see is this little bit of wear here, because you're not going to see the majority of the rest of it, maybe a little bit here. But it's not until you actually get up close and you can see all the details. You can see where somebody's had their rock and roll youth, they've had bracelets and stuff on, or a watch, and it's scratched it here. They've got a really heavy pick hand, which is also taken lacquer off either side of the neck pocket. So something else is, maybe you've got somebody with a bit heavy-handed at the end of a gig and they just slap their guitar down on the floor, and guess what? Over time it's going to start chipping that lacquer away, and before you know it, once one bit comes off, the rest of it starts to come off. So yeah, lots of dirt going on. Again, it's one of those just really natural looking bodies for me. I know, you know, somebody who's not a fan would probably say, hey, that looks really forced and fake and horrible. But for me, given how many bodies I see, how many bodies I finish, and how long I've been doing this for, this has actually been one of the more exciting pieces. And secretly, I'm kind of glad it hasn't sold, because I'm actually now able to talk to you about it and just some of the thought processes that go into these things. But, you know, I don't want to sound too much like a hippie about the whole thing, like I have stories to tell. A vintage guitar has got many stories to tell. Every ding tells a story. but a lot of us can't afford vintage guitars, and I'm one of them. I can't afford a £15,000 Fender Telecaster from the early to mid 60s. It's just not going to happen. So this gives anybody who's interested just a glimmer of hope that you can have something sitting in your room that looks old. It looks old. It's got that vibe. Now, something else I've grabbed here is a body that I haven't worked on yet, and I just wanted to see how noticeable it was on the camera. I'm going to shift that around that way. So this is an alder body. I haven't worked on this one yet. It's a lovely thing too, but I haven't touched it. But as you can see, if I do this, you can see the contour of the tummy cut and the chamfer on the forearm. This is where the extra work goes in, the extra detail. I have really tried to take this down considerably. So this whole section here, right the way along, it's nice and thin. It's going to sit into your body more. And it's all very well saying it's not pinpoint vintage accurate. I know that. But guess what? They're all hand sanded, so they're all different anyway, back in the day. But again, you compare it to this, you can see the difference. So if I say it's got extra contouring, which all the Strat bodies do, all the contour bodies do, Jazz Masters and Jaguars and all that stuff, they all get the same treatment. They all get taken to that level where I want them to all be comfortable. I want these to be guitar bodies that you use to build your favorite instruments with, and I want you to play them, more to the point. So again, the video is just going to let you see that light. I thought the light above was annoying until I actually turned the body to it and saw all the checking, and I just thought, man, that's really cool. So, but this is not me. I'm not trying to sell this body. I'm quite happy for this to sit around. It, as I say, has been here for, finished for 2 weeks. It's been on the website for 2 weeks. It is available at the moment, as this video is going, as this video will go out this evening. It is still available. But for inspiration, I'm more than happy for it to hang around. So I appreciate you guys for hanging around for this part of the video. Can appreciate it's listening to me and listening to my hands waffle on about something might not be your cup of tea, but I really want to do more of these videos where I just get to show you up close and personal some of these finished bodies, and I could probably talk about this one for a lot longer, but I'm absolutely delighted with how everything's coming out now. I don't want to sound apologetic and not confident in being able to say to you that these are good bodies. These things look absolutely fantastic, and I'm so delighted that the majority of you guys really dig everything that's going on. And if you stay tuned, I should have another one of these videos up very soon after the weekend, and I think we'll take a look at a few maple necks. How about that? In fact, let me know in the comments. I'll do that YouTube thing. Let me know in the comments, and I haven't asked you for a sub yet, but check out the comments. Do you want to see maple necks? I've got a few maple necks in here that are getting shipped out next week. I've got a couple more bodies that I could show you. A double bound black telly and a blonde telly, so we could maybe fire them up on the screen for next week at some point, but let me know in the comments. Well, there we go, everyone. Thank you very much for staying to the end of that. If you did, it was a bit more waffly than I anticipated, but I enjoy talking about some of this stuff. Kind of glad that body is still here. It lets me kind of go into a bit more detail on it, and there's a few other pieces here that I really want to do the same with. So the next video I think is going to be about maple necks, as I've got a couple of them kind of sitting good to go, and I've also got plenty of them that I haven't actually worked on yet. So let me know in the comments section what you'd like to see next, if you're enjoying the more point of view videos as opposed to the static photograph videos which I've been doing. I personally like the point of view ones, but again, let me know. There's no right or wrong answer. I'm as intrigued with how all this is going to go as you are. So have a good weekend. I'll catch you on the next one.